Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, please tell a friend about the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast. Tell a peer. We love when you guys spread the show. We have Dr. Coffee back on the line. How's it going, my friend?
Oh, it's another day above ground living the dream.
Yeah, buddy. I love working on this project with you. I love the topics we explore, and I've really been looking forward to today's topic for a while. Today, we're talking about water quality. So important in the world of not only coffee, but health in general. Dr. Steve, are you excited to drop into water quality today?
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. I've been looking forward to that for a while, so I'm stoked.
So what can you tell us as we kind of get started here in a broad sense? What are we thinking about when it comes to water and water quality?
So if we look at our body makeup, we're made up mostly of water.
Right.
And if we look at the Earth is made up mostly of water.
Wow.
So as I always say, we can live a month without food, but only a week without water.
Mm-hmm.
And water is an important macronutrient for us. So today we're going to talk about quality of water and the problems with water and the good things about water, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it, the macronutrient that is water. And if it is such an important macronutrient, you're going to want a high-quality one.
So I want to start by saying the first thing, which is a quote of mine, which is the quality and quantity of the water you drink is one of the most fundamental preventative medicine techniques you can practice.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah, so I hope your listeners will reflect on that and look at water as an important regimen for their well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about that, then let's start with talking about a danger that's out there, and that'll help us understand the importance of water.
Yes, please.
So the danger is with a molecule called dihydrogen monoxide. So DHMO is a big problem. People die from accidentally inhaling DHMO. Prolonged exposure to solid DHMO causes severe tissue damage. Excessive ingestion of DHMO, a number of unpleasant, though not typically life-threatening side effects. DHMO is a major component of acid rain. Gaseous DHMO can cause severe burns. It leads to soil erosion. It's found in biopsies of precancerous tumors and lesions. And DHMO is a big deal that we need to worry about.
And this is in our water supply in this country?
It is, and here's the joke of the day. DHMO, the D is for di, which is 2, hydrous, which is hydrogen, and mono for 1 oxide. Mm-hmm. So it's H2O.
Oh, you totally got me.
So dihydromonoxide is water.
I should have picked that up.
And the statistics I quoted about being able to drown by accidentally inhaling even small quantities of water is true. And all the things that I talked about are true when it comes to water.
Oh, my God. Hilarious.
So,
well played. How did I not catch that? I'm only halfway through my Purity coffee.
So with that in mind, I'd like to talk about some of the contaminants that really are included in water. And then from there, I'd like to go into the healthy aspects of water.
Oh, certainly.
So again, water is so important for our health, especially good water. And by good water, I mean water that doesn't contain aluminum, ammonia, arsenic, barium, cadmium, chloramine, chromium, copper, fluoride, lead, mercury, perchlorate, radium, selenium, silver,
Jeez.
uranium, bacteria and viruses, and nitrates and nitrites.
Jeez, oh
All
man.
those things can show up in water as contaminants.
And just really quickly, is this a combination of environmental factors? I know there's a lot of natural elements found in the earth that we don't want in our water, a lot of which you just listed. But then also we're probably dealing with things like pesticide runoff and agriculture issues and manufacturing waste and stuff like that getting into the water supply. Like, is that how all this stuff is kind of coming about, a variety of ways from both the earth and human inputs?
Mostly human inputs.
Mm.
The same way people talk about climate change, we have to talk about water quality change. The notion is that 200, 300, 500, 1,000 years ago that we'd be walking by a stream and we'd be thirsty and we could, dip our hat into that and drink from it, except for some, earth
Right.
worms and stuff like that. We're not going to get large contamination from running water. Nowadays, you really can't do that because we are dumping toxins into our water supply. Look, we've got a world with 6 to 8 billion people in it.
Right.
And if everybody's just peeing a couple times a day and it gets flushed into the water system for filtration, it doesn't get properly filtered, that's a big problem, especially with climate change. And whether you want to accept it or not, you got to accept it because the temperature of the water is rising steadily.
Oh.
And with the temperature comes a breeding ground for more algae, more even jellyfish. I mean, we have
So
a
it's
big problem in our
exacerbating it.
seas.
Wow.
Yeah, so water contamination is becoming a big problem,
Right.
and it's really hard for us to rely on our municipalities to do all their job, to do all the job for us
Right.
about cleaning up the water.
That's a good point.
So it's got to be done on a personal basis along with on a municipal basis.
Right. And I would love to dive into one thing you said specifically because it's come up in my work, and you're on the municipality, so I think it's a good time to go there. When I've done interviews with natural farmers, natural farming is a big topic on this show, microbial-based organic farming and what that entails. And one of the things that natural farmers are concerned with is keeping their biology and their soil alive. And one of the ways where you can really kill that biology is adding water with chlorine, or a lot of municipalities use chlorine in their water to kill off unwanted pathogens, or that municipality probably uses chloramine. That's like the more stable version. That's the alternative to the chlorine. I'm interested on why that came up on your list because it scared me in the natural farming world because it's bad for microbiology and it's super, super stable. It's like chlorine, but it sticks around longer and it's meaner and nastier. Why did it make the radar on your list?
Well, because it's used to clean water.
Yeah.
So the problem is that we're drinking water that has been cleaned with these chemicals, and the parts of the chemicals are still in there as contaminants. And so that becomes a big problem because they become toxic to our own cells.
Right. So chloramine's not good for us is what you're saying?
Nobody has a chloramine deficiency, I can tell you that. And it's not only with drinking water, it's also with things like your showers that you take or bathing or the leachates from landfills or the, as you said, agricultural runoff.
Right.
And some of it is supposed to be flushed out of our body, but with so many people using the municipal sewer system, they eliminate it from their body. It winds up in our drinking water, as I said before. So this is really really a problem. Realize that levels in finished drinking water are like 10 to the third to 10 to the sixth times lower than the therapeutic dose. But even in those low concentrations, taking it on a daily basis
All day, yeah.
is where the problem comes from. So it may not have enough lead, but if you're taking 1 part of lead per day, day after day, day after day, it builds up.
Exactly.
And that's really a problem.
Right,
and that's
that can
why
lead to chronic
people
illness.
Yeah, especially we know emotional illness.
Wow.
One of the problems that we really are going to have to wrestle with is plastic water bottles. So before I talk about what do we do to clean, because everybody thinks they're doing a really good service to the Mother Earth by buying filtered water in plastic bottles. They then drink it. They then throw the bottles into hopefully recycling, but a lot of them wind up in our landfills.
Right.
Plastic does not break down. There are people that will overuse their plastic bottles over and over again, even if they say BPA free, which many of them don't.
Right.
Not all of them do. I was going to say most of them don't, but that's not true because people have really been crying out about BPA, so most of the bottle manufacturers are now trying to get away from BPA. But there are other chemicals in plastic that wind up, especially just plain microplastic.
Yeah,
So
just tiny particles of the plastic itself, right?
Yeah, so microplastic is winding up in our tissue cells. So this is a really big problem, and it's got to be replaced with a nice steel or glass bottle.
Yeah.
And I just encourage everybody to go out and get a nice stainless steel, not aluminum, stainless steel, or a glass bottle. I don't understand why the consciousness of people is not raised to the level yet where they understand what we're doing to Mother Earth. I have friends or acquaintances that will laugh about this whole plastic straw thing. They'll stick a straw up their nose and they'll say, "Look at me, I'm a turtle." And they think that's funny. There's a big problem with plastics. We're just polluting our earth with something that doesn't break down, that has lots of chemicals. And the chemical burden that we're placing into the water system of Mother Earth is just extreme. So we've got at least, at least 8 known chemicals that get dumped into the system, like phenytoin, which is an anticonvulsant, then atenolol, which is a beta blocker, and naproxen, which is an analgesic. And we've got bisphenol A, which is that plasticizer.
Jeez.
And BPA. And linoron, which is an herbicide. We've got these chemicals that are getting dumped into our water system, and then we're calling on the municipalities to filter them out.
Right.
And the municipalities don't do a phenomenal job. They do an okay job. There's a lack of regulations. Our current president is going back and rolling back regulations to make it even easier for chemical contaminants. Anyway, it's a big problem. I don't want to spend our whole time together just talking about the compounds. It has to be recognized that the compounds in drinking water at some level since the inception of the use of pharmaceuticals keeps increasing and increasing, and the drugs being dumped down and the pesticides and everything being dumped down becomes a major concern for consumers. And what I will tell all of the consumers listening to this podcast is get rid of the plastic drinking bottles, get yourself glass, get yourself stainless steel, get a good water filtration system. There are filtration systems that can clean, like a reverse osmosis, and there are filtration systems that do what's called alkaline water, which I think is a misnomer. I'm not sure that I love the name alkaline water. I'd rather use the name high antioxidant water. I
Oh,
think it's
interesting.
more I think it's more accurate. Um, but what an alkaline water filter will do is it takes tap water, it makes it into fresh alkaline water or fresh antioxidant water. It filters contaminants. It gets rid of bad tastes and odors. It boosts the water with minerals, electrolytes, and antioxidants. And you wind up with a water that's got a pH of 9 or more.
So
There's
very
something
alkalized,
called
yeah.
yeah. So there's something called an ORP, which reflects the antioxidants in water, and you're going to get an ORP of 200, which is zero point 0.3 parts per million of H2.
That's interesting. Just from the
Um,
alkalization process?
correct.
Wow, I didn't know that. So I'm sure that's perfect for you when you're brewing your coffee. That takes your antioxidant rich coffee and puts it over the edge.
Absolutely. I would only use a good quality water like this to make coffee, because coffee should be a medicinal herb and made as a medicinal herb and drank for the purpose of turning it into a healing property for the body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you also have to look at the cost of filtration. So a good figure is about 11 cents per liter for the
Interesting.
cost of filtering water.
Yeah.
You can get some of these water exchange or some of these multi-level marketing alkaline water machines that the cost is much higher than that, and I don't think that's good. You want to make sure that if there's any plastic components in the filtration unit other than stainless steel, that they are BPA free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all really good advice.
Um,
And I know it's kind of a kick to the wallet to invest in this, but this is one of the biggest investments that you can make if you're concerned about your diet and your health and fitness. So I think that it's definitely something that you need to be heavily considering. Everyone should be implementing this in their life in some fashion. I wanted to ask you, though, about the RO water. It seemed like you really liked the alkalization machines. Is the RO water a good alternative? What do you think of it?
so I I really like it, but there's a bunch of different machines on the market. One of the ones we've tested as an alkaline mineral water machine is Vitev, VITEV.
Yeah, you've
They're
mentioned them
out of
before, and I know you like them.
yeah, yeah, they're out of Canada. They make a nice non-electric alkaline water machine. Some of the others will give you an electric machine, which does a good job, but you're using electricity. This one is non-electric, and you get an ORP of about minus 500. So it's a wonderfully antioxidant-rich ORP. It does a great job of taking the toxins out of water. And because of the alkaline nature, the +9 or more pH, it helps the body with increased energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that getting out of that acidic state that you've talked about.
When a person's in more of an alkaline state, and there really is controversy as to whether or not you can totally change a person with alkaline water, and that's why I tend to use the term high antioxidant water more, because the antioxidant benefits are more important to me than the alkaline benefits. And what do I mean by that? For example, I drink Purity coffee as my medicinally grown coffee. purity coffee is less acidic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it tastes less acidic. It doesn't cause the acidity in your gut that some of the other coffees do.
Definitely.
But the most important thing, if I had to choose between the two, is the amount of antioxidants and good chemicals that are in purity coffee.
So you'd rather take the acidity and eat a few more green vegetables and still get all those compounds.
I'd rather manage the acidity in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I cold brew a coffee, it's less acidic.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my wife and I were having a bit of disagreement, and I said to her, let's take a break. I want to go brew a cup of coffee. And this morning she said, where'd you go? And I said, well, I was doing cold brew. So I didn't have to deal with the topic for 12 hours.
You're hilarious, man.
But I'd rather deal with the acidity level through other means than worrying about it primary and giving up on the antioxidants.
That is really fascinating.
So the known benefits of a high antioxidant water is that it fights the aging process. It has detoxification properties, so it flushes out deadly toxins. It improves mental clarity. It increases energy. There's more stamina from drinking a high antioxidant water. You sleep better. It reduces joint pain. I feel it assists in weight loss. There's lots of studies that show drinking more water, especially an antioxidant water, is going to help with weight loss. It improves digestion. And, we've talked about adding some apple cider vinegar with the mother to water. And so I'd rather have a really good filtration system and not worry so much about the alkalinity and add some apple cider vinegar. That's what I mean by there are other means.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying.
To change it. And then you want to have a nice steel or glass container to put it in because you don't want to go dumping it into a plastic bottle.
100%. I love it. That's a wonderful, wonderful overview. And that leads nicely into a health and fitness strategy that I'd like to share really quickly from my own life. And this is something that's really, really improved my overall health and fitness over the years. I have a little list called my 12 dot, and it's got all these habits that I try to do. And each time I do a habit for the day, I mark it. And you try to rearrange what your habits are to, help you get healthier and advance in your career and your relationships. And it's a really fun little personal development project. Well, my first dot that's the first thing on my list is called a 3 beverage morning. And it's one of my favorite dots because it's actually fun to do. But here's what I do, Dr. Steve. You're going to love this. Every morning, I get this dot. If I go downstairs and first thing, make 3 medicinal beverages to consume to start my day. The first is purity coffee, obviously, brewed with filtered water. A little bit of milk because I do okay with dairy and it helps me get through the day. And that's my antioxidant boost and my caffeine boost. That's my purity coffee. And then I also have a green smoothie. My lovely wife makes green smoothies every day. So that's, ground up spinach and celery and avocados and lime. And then my third is my hydration, which is usually filtered water, usually added some apple cider vinegar, which I know you'll love, some fresh lemon juice, and then sometimes even some Himalayan salt for hydration retention. And if I sit down and consume all 3 of these beverages, not only do I get my dot, but I'm telling you, it primes me for a much, much better day than if I don't get that dot.
That's wonderful. And you're really going to be thrilled when you and I get to finally look at the book I am writing, almost finished with, by the way. And what we talk about, it's called The First Hour. And what we talk about is when you first get up in the morning and use the restroom, you drink 8 ounces of water, either plain or mixed with 1 teaspoon apple cider vinegar or green tea. And
nice.
This is the time of day you get your first flush of toxins out of your body, and it's totally in line with what you're saying because then the next part of your day is you drink some coffee. So you and I are on the exact same wavelength.
That's awesome. And I would almost like to do a whole episode on alkalinity because there's so many other things that play into it. I know that breathing techniques can affect your alkalinity and eating more green vegetables. And so I'm sure we'll follow up on this topic in the future.
I am absolutely sure we will.
Yes. Any more thoughts on water quality, though?
So there's a concept called molecular hydrogen. So hydrogen is the most effective antioxidant that exists.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Period.
Jeez.
This isn't like a trick where I said,
yeah,
you're this is not a trick.
You've got me paranoid now.
No, yeah, this is not. This is something that I would be glad to debate with anybody on this planet. I would be glad to share the science with them on this because it's such an important topic. So it's called molecular hydrogen, or its chemical number is H2.
Right.
It's the most effective antioxidant that exists in protecting against oxidative stress damage. And I'm sure you've had guests on the podcast before that have talked about oxidative stress.
Right.
If not, we should do that sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's, why magically, Dr. Steve, we're all talking about drinking more water now. I mean, that's where a lot of our health concerns are coming from, I believe, is that under hydration.
So molecular hydrogen has 5 advantages over any other type of antioxidant. First, it's the smallest and most powerful antioxidant that exists. So that means that it can provide antioxidant protection like from free radicals to the mitochondrial cells of the body, which are your ever-ready batteries. Your energy cells in your body are called mitochondrial. The second thing that molecular hydrogen does is it's a smart antioxidant. So most antioxidants have limited effectiveness for 2 reasons. One, they can only protect against some free radicals, but not others, meaning that many different types of antioxidants are needed for a wide variety of free radicals. So you have to take lots. The second is they can't distinguish between necessary and harmful free radicals.
Interesting.
So some free radicals, like hydrogen peroxide, are beneficial to our cells.
Sure.
So molecular hydrogen solves both problems because they selectively target toxic oxygen radicals. The third thing about molecular hydrogen is it's 100% natural and completely safe. It requires no energy to break it down. There are no known toxic effects, even at high dosages.
Right.
And we can't say that for other things like vitamin C. Everybody knows how important vitamin C is. It's a great antioxidant, but you can't take unlimited amounts of vitamin C.
Sure. There's a toxicity
it has
level.
Yeah, exactly. The fourth thing about molecular hydrogen is it improves the body's natural antioxidant system. It triggers an activation of the protective proteins such as catalase, superoxide dismutase, and glutathione.
Interesting.
And finally, molecular hydrogen provides an anti-obesity, anti-inflammatory, and anti-allergy effect.
Whoa. Yeah, and I've heard that before. A lot of weight loss specialists saying drink more water.
Exactly. But if you can drink water in which the chemical duty of the water filtration system is to increase H2, then that's your gold standard. And that's why we like Vitev, and I'm sure there's a couple others on the market that do it, but Vitev produces more H2.
Love it. Absolutely love it. What a great overview for people out there looking to boost this part of their life. And I think that we're really doing ourselves a disservice with our current societal setup. The incredible levels of salt and MSG and these dehydrating compounds in our food, coupled with the replacement of water as a beverage with things like soda or an energy drink or iced tea or the multitude of things they try to sell you instead of a nice cup of water. It's no wonder that this is becoming an issue, right?
Correct. I mean, I couldn't have said that better.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Steve. So yeah, I think that that's a great overview. And just to cap it off, we are talking about, making the healthiest coffee you can when you brew your coffee. And it all starts with your water, people. I've become very snobby with my coffee since getting involved with purity. And that water quality sure does matter. So listen, Dr. Steve, I almost feel like we could do a follow-up to this. Maybe in the future, we can dive into fluoride. We can dive into chlorine, chloramine, all this different stuff. But this was a great starting point. Thank you for taking the time to discuss water today with me and my audience.
It's my pleasure. I hope everybody listening has a great day and goes out and gets a good water filtration system, something like Vitev, VITV. And for more information on Vitev, you can always drop me a note at doc@level1diagnostics.com. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about water.
Nice. Love that, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure to share the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast with a friend. We always appreciate that. This is Dr. Coffee and Jordan River signing off, wishing you an extraordinary day. We'll see you next time on the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast.